Bubba Wallace went for the lead with 5 laps left. For 1 second, he had it. Then the entire field exploded behind him. 2 Daytona 500 favorites were destroyed. A defending champion is headed to a backup car. And now drivers are warning that Sunday could turn into pure chaos. What really happened in that one move at Daytona? The first duel at Daytona International Speedway looked calm for most of the night. For more than 50 laps, the field stayed mostly single file. Drivers worked the draft carefully. No one wanted to tear up equipment before the biggest race of the year. The Daytona 500 was only days away. This was supposed to be a tune-up, not a demolition. But with 5 laps remaining, everything changed. Bubba Wallace had been riding in line, saving his move. Track position matters at Daytona. Clean air helps, but timing matters even more. Wallace saw an opening. Joey Logano was leading the outside lane. Wallace pulled out of line and dove to the inside. For a moment, it looked perfect. Wallace surged ahead. He cleared Logano and grabbed the lead. The crowd reacted. The move was bold and aggressive. Exactly what you expect in the closing laps at Daytona. But the draft at Daytona is unforgiving. When you pull out of line, you lose help. Wallace cleared Logano, but he did not have enough momentum to fully secure the position. The outside lane kept building speed, and right behind Wallace, Austin Dillon was closing fast. Down the backstretch, Dillon got to Wallace's rear bumper. In superspeedway racing, even the slightest bump at the wrong angle can end everything. Dillon made contact. Wallace's car snapped sideways. In an instant, he was turned across the track. The field had nowhere to go. Cars slammed into Wallace. Others piled in behind them. Smoke filled the backstretch. Metal crumpled. Sparks flew. A race that had been mostly clean for over 50 laps turned into a massive wreck in seconds. Among those caught in the crash was 2-time defending Daytona 500 champion William Byron. His Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet was heavily damaged. The front end was destroyed. The crew quickly assessed the car and made the call. It was too damaged to repair. Byron will go to a backup car for Sunday's Daytona 500. That means he will start at the rear of the 41-car field. Chris Buescher was also collected in the wreck. His car suffered significant damage as well. Like Byron, Buescher's team determined repairs were not possible in time. He too will roll out a backup car and start from the back. That changes everything. Starting at the rear at Daytona is not impossible to overcome, but it forces drivers to fight through traffic early. It increases risk, and it takes away control of the race strategy. For 2 drivers who were expected to contend for the win, the path just got much harder. Chandler Smith was also caught in the accident. So were Ross Chastain, Daniel Suárez, AJ Allmendinger, and Wallace himself. Several of those teams are working to repair their primary cars. The damage varies, but every minute in the garage matters. And this all came from one move. Rehook this moment. Wallace pulls out, clears Logano, takes the lead. 1 second later, the entire race explodes. Joey Logano did not hold back after the race. He called the duel a warning sign for Sunday. He said the Daytona 500 could turn into a total wreckfest if drivers continue pushing this hard in tight packs. That statement carries weight. Logano understands superspeedway racing better than most. When a veteran says the big race could spiral out of control, people listen. The duel is supposed to set the field and allow teams to fine-tune their cars. Instead, it reshaped the starting order and sent major contenders scrambling. William Byron's situation is especially dramatic. He is the 2-time defending Daytona 500 champion. Winning this race once is historic. Winning it twice in a row is rare. Trying to win 3 straight from the rear of the field is a massive challenge. Chris Buescher also had strong momentum entering Speedweek. Now his team must shift focus to damage control and strategy adjustments. For Bubba Wallace, the moment is complicated. On one hand, he made an aggressive move for the lead. That is what racers are supposed to do. You cannot win if you do not go for it. On the other hand, the move triggered one of the biggest crashes of Speedweek. Was it too early to make that move? Should he have waited one more lap? Did he clear Logano cleanly enough? Was the bump from Dillon avoidable? At Daytona, there are no simple answers. Superspeedway racing compresses the field into inches. Cars travel over 190 miles per hour, separated by less than a car length. The air pushes and pulls at every bumper. A slight shift can turn into disaster. Wallace admitted after the race that he saw the opportunity and took it. That is the mindset drivers must have. But he also suffered damage in the crash he helped trigger. His own Daytona 500 preparation is now more stressful. Austin Dillon's role is also under the microscope. When he got to Wallace's bumper, was the push too hard? Was it simply bad timing? In these situations, blame spreads in every direction, but the result is clear. Byron is in a backup car. Buescher is in a backup car. Several others are repairing damaged machines, and the garage is tense. This is where the rehook comes back. Logano said Sunday could be chaos. If this much damage happened in a duel that was mostly calm for 50 laps, what happens when 41 drivers are racing for the biggest prize in stock car racing? The caution from the lap 56 wreck sent the race into overtime. The field regrouped. Damaged cars limped to pit road. Teams assessed what was left. Overtime at Daytona is never calm. On the final lap of the overtime restart, another crash erupted. This time, Corey LaJoie was eliminated. His Daytona 500 hopes were officially gone. For LaJoie, Speedweek ended in heartbreak. The duels determine which drivers lock into the 500. That last lap accident sealed his fate. So in one night, we saw a massive multi-car wreck, major contenders knocked to backup cars, and a driver eliminated from the biggest race of the year. All from a move that lasted 1 second. Daytona has always been unpredictable, but this Speed Week feels different. The cars are tightly matched, the draft is powerful, runs build quickly, and drivers are more aggressive than ever. When Wallace pulled out of line, he was not thinking about backup cars, he was thinking about winning the duel. That is how racers think. But Daytona punishes even the smallest miscalculation. The images of Byron's destroyed front end and Buescher's battered car are now part of the story heading into Sunday. Teams will spend the next few days preparing backup cars. They will adjust setups. They will double-check every component. Starting from the rear means you must be ready to move forward quickly without taking unnecessary risks. That balance is hard to find. Fans are split. Some believe Wallace made a standard racing move. Others think the timing was reckless. The truth sits somewhere in between. At Daytona, the line between aggressive and disastrous is razor thin. Rehook the key moment again. 5 laps to go. Wallace dives low, clears Logano. Dillon closes. A small bump. The car turns. Smoke everywhere. That is how fast Daytona can flip the script. The Daytona 500 is already the most unpredictable race on the schedule. Add in damaged backup cars, shaken confidence, and drivers talking about a possible wreckfest, and the tension rises even higher. Joey Logano's warning is not just frustration, it is experience. He knows that when drivers feel the urgency to control track position, they force moves earlier. And when moves happen earlier, the risk multiplies. William Byron now faces the challenge of carving through the field. Chris Buescher must do the same. Others will be watching their mirrors carefully around Wallace and Dillon. Every driver in the garage saw what happened. Superspeedway racing rewards boldness. It also punishes it. That one move did not just wreck cars. It reshaped the narrative of Speed Week. It turned a calm duel into a chaotic preview. It forced contenders into backup plans. And it left one big question hanging over Daytona. If this was just the warm-up, what will the main event look like? Sunday is coming. 41 cars will take the green flag. Some will be in backup machines. Some will carry fresh frustration. And all of them will remember how 1 second changed everything. At Daytona, one move is all it takes.